Hello, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Cowboys Beat Live for September 18th, 2025. I hope everybody is enjoying their week so far. It is Thursday. We are closer to Friday than we were yesterday. So, yeah, that should be something that we should all be happy about. Okay, so on this episode, I want to talk about why I believe Dak Prescott is playing at an MVP level. Not only that, I want to talk about why I actually think this defense will actually be much better against the Chicago Bears than it was against the New York Giants. And I also want to take a look into the Chicago Bears offense, and some of the things that I guess the Cowboys defense could do to that offense to slow them down. But before we get into the episode, please make sure to hit that like button and subscribe. I would greatly appreciate that. And make sure to go check out the Crutchman Media shows as well. CEO Sports Show. You can tap on my page there, and there are a bunch of other shows that you can check out. If you like college football, we have college football. If you like boxing, we have boxing. If you like basketball, we have basketball. We're trying to provide the best product that we possibly can to you guys. So greatly appreciate the support. And without further ado, let's get into the episode. Okay. So I want to start off by talking about Dak Prescott. I believe that Dak Prescott is playing at an MVP level right now. Now, granted, it is 2 weeks, and Derek Carr was playing at an MVP level throughout 2 weeks last year as well. But when you look at what Dak Prescott did in the 2023 season, and the fact that you could legitimately make a case that he should have won MVP that year, I don't think it's crazy to say that, hey, maybe there's a potential path to Dak Prescott winning the MVP this year. Now, Dak has bigger goals than winning the MVP. They're trying to win a Super Bowl this year. They're trying to win a Super Bowl every year. But I think that when you look at some of the best quarterbacks in the league, I think Dak Prescott is a top 7 quarterback in the league, like no doubt about it in my mind. Because here's the thing. The difference between the best quarterback in the league and like the 15th best quarterback in the league is that the 15th best quarterback in the league can look like the best quarterback in the league if they have a clean pocket. The receivers are getting open. They have the right play caller. Everything is going well. It's when everything isn't going well, when you're getting pressured, when your offensive line isn't protecting, when things aren't working in the right way for the offense. How do you respond to that? And when I look at what Dak Prescott has been doing, mainly throughout the course of his career, but especially this year, when it comes to dealing with pressure and the fact that in pass protection, the offensive line hasn't been great, and he's still staying in the pocket, not being fazed by pressure and countering the pressure that he's facing. I think it's very impressive. And when you look at guys like Jordan Love, Baker Mayfield, Jared Goff, when those guys get pressured, they're not remotely close to the same quarterback that they are when they're not getting pressured. Every quarterback is going to be a little worse at minimum when they're getting pressured, because it's a lot harder to throw when you're getting pressured than when you're not getting pressured. But how far is that drop off? And the drop off for Dak isn't that far. That's why, to me, the top 7 quarterbacks in the league separate themselves because of what they do when they're facing pressure. And that's why I think Dak Prescott separates himself. And when you think about it like this, great quarterbacks make great pass rushes look ordinary. And I think that's what Dak Prescott did the other day because of how well he countered the blitz. Not only that, how calm he stayed under pressure. It's very impressive. It's very impressive to see what he's doing. And Dak Prescott is playing at a level right now where you look at the Cowboys and you say, hey, their team may not be as talented as the team across from them. But if you have that guy as your quarterback, you're going to have a chance in the fight. That's how well he's playing right now. And, I don't like ranking MVP rankings after week 2. I think the early season is the biggest liar of them all, right? But if you're going to make an MVP ranking and you have Lamar Jackson in your top 5 and you don't have Dak in your top 5, I actually think that's extremely disingenuous. I don't think that it makes much sense either, because even if you want to say that, hey, look at the record of the top quarterbacks in the MVP ranking, well, I would say, okay, Lamar's record's 1-1. Oh, well, he lost to the Bills. Oh, well, I was told all offseason how the Eagles are the best organization in football and they're the best team in football, and it's not even close. And Dak Prescott put his team in a situation, or put his team in the position to win that football game week 1. I mean, if CeeDee Lamb would have caught the ball on one of the 4 crucial drops that he had, they win the game probably. So I'm not really trying to hear that. Like when I hear these hype beast quarterbacks like CJ Stroud, now Baker Mayfield's becoming a hype beast quarterback, I just look at that and I'm just like, nah, I'm good. These guys aren't better than Dak Prescott. To me, only quarterbacks that I'm cool with people putting over him are Burrow, Mahomes, Jackson, Lamar, Stafford, and Herbert. Those are the only guys that I look at and say, okay, if you want to put them over Dak, that's completely fine. I have Dak, I have Dak in the tier 2 of quarterbacks, which is fine. Like, there's a tier 1, and the top 4 quarterbacks in the league, everybody knows who they are. They're, to me, in the top 4 of quarterbacks. But then when you look at that tier 2, I think it's really 3 guys. It's Dak, Stafford, Herbert. Not necessarily in that order. You could put them in whatever order you like. I don't really care. But then you start getting into everybody else. And then that's when you really start ranking these quarterbacks after number 7, in my personal opinion. Because I don't do the rookie year hype thing like with Jaden Daniels, where people were hyping him up and saying that he's a top 5 quarterback after his rookie year. I think that's quite frankly comical when people do that. I mean, we see it so often, these sophomore slumps. You saw it with CJ Stroud. After year 1, he's a top 5 quarterback in the league, man. He was never that. He was never a top 5 quarterback. Wasn't anywhere close. You may be able to play at a top 5 level. Here's the difference, right? There's a difference between a top 5 quarterback and a quarterback that's playing at a top 5 level. Jared Goff can play at a top 5 level, right? He's not a top 5 quarterback. Why can he play like a top 5 at a top 5 level now? Because he has a protection, because he has a scheme. He has all these things working around him. That's why he can sometimes play at a top 5 level, but it's not consistent. And we all know it's based off the fact that you have all these pieces working along with you. I want to go over this chart that I saw. So this is from Computer Cowboy, Ben B. Baldwin. Dak Prescott, when it comes to adjusted EPA per play, and that accounts for pass protection, receiver drops, dropped interceptions, fumble recoveries, interception returns, giving credit for expected yards after the catch only, and accounting for defenses faced. His EPA is 82. His PFF grade is 97. His average is 90. The second guy on that list, Josh Allen, EPA 78, PFF 90, average 84. So by this chart, Dak Prescott is head and shoulders playing like the best quarterback in football right now, which is really impressive to see. And then, you know, you got your hype beast guys, your Baker Mayfields at 18. You got who's the other hype beast? CJ Stroud, 28. Jaden Daniels, 23. Let's see if any of the other hype beast quarterbacks are on here. Bo Nix was a guy that was getting serious love. He's at 34. Geno Smith, for some reason, gets a ton of love from the nerdy football fans. He's at 30. Dak Prescott, like far and away on this list, average 90. He's by far the best quarterback when you look at this list and what they're trying to say about this list. So I'm impressed. I think he's playing really, really good football at the current moment. But I want to move on to the Cowboys defense. I believe that the Cowboys defense is going to play better on Sunday against the Bears than they did week 2 against the New York Giants. And it's for a few reasons. If you play that bad every Sunday, it's a combination of things. You have bad coaching and you have bad personnel. Those are the two things there. I don't believe you have bad coaching. I mean, look, Matt Eberflus Everywhere he's been as a defensive play caller, he's been a good defensive play caller. I don't believe that Matt Eberflus forgot how to call plays. I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt there. Indianapolis, he was so good as a defensive coordinator that he got promoted to be a head coach. And when he was a head coach, when he got a chance to call plays for a Chicago Bears defense that wasn't all that talented, they played good football. So I think you have a pretty good coach there. And then when you look at the personnel, I think this is more of a personnel thing than a coaching thing, in my personal opinion. I don't necessarily think they have the personnel, but like if you have the same type of performance on Sunday that you had last Sunday, that to me would mean that you don't have any NFL players in your secondary. And I don't believe that's the case. I think you have multiple NFL starters in your secondary. They might not be great starters, but they're at the very least starters. So that's where I look at that and I say, okay, I think they'll play better because I have more faith in Eberflus and I have more faith in the personnel that they have on this team to be able to play better than what they did last Sunday, because that was egregious. And I do think that they have a pretty good matchup here when it comes to Caleb Williams. I think they're going to be able to affect what he does post-snap, reading defenses, because we saw Jalen Hurts, somebody who is not great at reading defenses, struggled with Matt Eberflus' defense. So we'll see what happens there. It can't get much worse than it did last week. And last week was just an utter abomination. And that's the thing in the NFL. Like, you may see, like, yeah, they may have played awful last week. There may be a week where a team plays awful or a defense plays awful or an offense is awful. And the next week, they're not awful. They might not be even okay. They might not even be average, but they're much better than awful. This is the NFL. Defensive coordinators get paid a lot of money. They kind of know what they're doing. And, you know, these scouting staffs, they get paid a lot of money to scout players and put them on their football team. So if you have a scouting department that's worth a damn, and I believe that the Cowboys have a scouting department that's worth a damn, there's way too many instances of them getting personnel that really helps his team, then I personally don't think that, you know, it's that big of a thing, right? Like, again, I don't think that this is great personnel that they have. And even with Deron Bland coming back next week, I still have questions about the secondary. But I don't think that they were as bad as we saw last week. Like, that is like egregious. That is downright pitiful what we saw from the Cowboys last week. I don't think they're that bad defensively. I don't think they're good, but they're not that bad. And one thing that I will say is, like, defensively, what they wanted to do when it comes to playing run defense, they're able to do that now. You know, this is the way they wanted to go. I mean, they could have built a good pass rush and a good run defense if they would have just put their mind to it. But, you know, that's not the way they wanted to go. And they moved off of Micah Parsons. I have no problem with them moving off of Micah Parsons. No problem with that at all. You were never going to get 3 first-round picks from Micah Parsons. Can we just, like, talk about that for a second? The Cowboys were never getting 3 first-round picks from Micah Parsons. Teams don't give away 2 first-round picks anymore. It's very rare to see that. Not only did they get 2 first-round picks, but they got Kenny Clark as well, who was obviously a very good football player. So when it comes to the Micah Parsons trade, did they get enough in return? I mean, I don't think the return is as egregious as people made it out to be. Kenny Clark is a really, really damn good football player, and you have 2 first-round picks. And it's not just the 2 first-round picks that the Cowboys got in return for Micah Parsons. It's the 2 first-round picks, it's Kenny Clark, and it's the fact that you don't have to pay Micah Parsons $45 million a year. So now all of that cap space opens up. You can use those first-round draft picks that you're going to have over the next few years. You're going to have 4 of them over the next 2 years. You can use all 4 of those draft picks on defense. And then you can use all that money that you freed up from Micah Parsons. If you want to continue to use that on your defense, you can use that on your defense. Why do I say that? Because offensively, this team is set. They're set. Now, obviously, they need a few more pieces, but if they sign Pickens, and I think they probably need one more offensive lineman, and they probably need another running back, this team offensively, they have all the pieces. They have the quarterback. They would have the offensive line. They have the receivers. The tight end. He's a fine tight end. They would need to improve at running back, sure, but that's really all I see offensively is that, hey, improve at running back. Maybe you have to replace Steele, and then you're good there. Defensively is where they have a lot of questions. Probably going to need to get another edge. You're going to have to re-sign Kenny Clark or try and work out a new deal with him so that his cap hit isn't so damn high next year, right? Like you're going to have to get better at safety because the safeties here are just flat out mediocre. So that's the way I look at the Micah Parsons trade. If the Cowboys execute and use those assets to their advantage, they're going to win this trade. If not, they're not. It is what it is. I want to move on to the last topic of the day, and that is the Chicago Bears offense. Obviously, you have Ben Johnson there. He's very good at what he does. He talks about it all the time. He wants to create explosive plays down the field. And I do think they have a receiver who they can use to create explosive plays down the field. And that's Rome Odunze. And Caleb Williams wants to get him the football, which I can see why, because he is a fantastic receiver. Well, maybe not fantastic, but he's a very solid receiver. He can make plays down the field. It's all about this game disrupting the timing, making Caleb Williams uncomfortable, because if you make him uncomfortable and you get in the backfield, he's going to make mistakes. He's going to lose yardage because he tries too hard to escape and make things happen out of structure. When that happens, the Cowboys have to punish him for that because that should not be allowed. You should not be allowing quarterbacks to run all in the pocket like they're playing for USC, like Caleb Williams used to do. So I think that the keys to this game is keep everything in front of you. Make sure that you're not giving up the explosive plays like you did last week, because Ben Johnson will be hunting out those explosive plays. And hopefully Matt Eberflus feels a little bit of, fire in his stomach because he is playing his former team. You hope that happens. We'll see if it happens, but you hope it does. So offensively for the Bears, I think where they're good at when it comes to their offensive line is their interior three with Thuney, Dahlman, and Jackson. That's the strength of their offensive line. You can get Darnell Wright and you can get Braxton Jones. So the edges are going to have to win this game. They're going to have to be able to create pressure on the quarterback. And I do think the defensive tackles can win. Like, I don't think the interior defensive line is that great to where they don't stand a single chance of winning. No, like you have really good defensive tackles. Find a way to win on the interior, and then the edge rushers, they got to be able to create pressure. And then defensively on the back end, communication needs to be better. That's all that is. And we'll see what happens with this Matt Eberflus defense, 5, 6, 7 weeks down the line. Will the communication improve or will it be the same thing? So that's why I find this game so interesting from the defensive side of the ball, because I think that the Cowboys are going to get the Bears in passing situations quite often. And not only that, it's not like the Bears are really good at running the football. They're like one of the worst teams in the league in running the football, if I'm not mistaken. Let me see. Let me just double check that, because I want to get the actual numbers, because I don't want to just say things and then I look like an idiot for saying it. So last week, okay, I was wrong. This is why we double check. DeAndre Swift, 5 yards per attempt. Kyle Monangai, 4 yards per attempt. So it's not like they're a great run team, but they can run the football a little bit. DeAndre Swift, week 1, 3.1 yards per attempt. That was really the only running back they had. So if you base it off week 2, It looks like they can run the ball a little bit, nothing to where they're going to take over a game. Can you stop them with 4 guys? I think you can with your 4-man front. I think you can, me personally. And then keep everything in front of you defensively. That's the way I think Matt Eberflus is going to play this. But that's going to be it for the episode, though, guys. CEO Sports Show in 30 minutes. Make sure to check it out. I would greatly appreciate that. And until next time, I will see you guys on the next episode.